What is a Chinoy? These are Filipinos with Chinese ancestry. Did you know that in the Philippines, there are over 2 million Chinoys? Many of them have ancestors coming from Fujian, China, or the southern part of China. That's actually where my family came from. My grandmother moved to the Philippines during the war in China when she was 10 years old. So in the 1930s, her family moved to the Philippines and they landed in the northern part of the Philippines called Apari. And then as she moved to Metro Manila, that's where she started her childhood. What I should remember from her is that when she got married, her husband had a textile business and they were producing and manufacturing t-shirts. My grandmother was very generous. She also made a lot of kids. There are 10 uncles and aunts that I have. From what I could remember is that she used to study very well. She had high grades. She used to love also very quintessential stereotypical Chinese. She used to love playing table tennis. And while we were playing as a kid table tennis, she would actually beat me every time. And she would tell me how she used to compete in school. And she was always a top performer, not just in sports, but also in academic. And she would always tell me, Albert, you need to study well, you need to save money, and you need to always compete and do well in school. This is one lesson that I will never forget from her. When my grandmother or Amma was sharing their courtship stage, what she told me is that what made her fall in love with my grandpa was the spirit of entrepreneurship that my grandpa had. The two of them had a very good relationship. They were in love. They had 10 children. She would always say that my grandpa, who I actually did not have the privilege of meeting, was very entrepreneurial. He was coming from humble beginnings because as a migrant moving from China to the Philippines, they had to find ways to make money. My grandfather worked so hard to be able to start his textile and t-shirt manufacturing business. It was actually called Oxford. My uncle or grandpa was a workaholic. He worked so hard and he was very known in Binondo or the Chinatown in Manila that he was having so many clients every day producing t-shirts for retail, for company. The downside was that my grandfather had to work so hard that he actually fell sick, and then at one point, the heart attack, and my grandma had no other choice. She was telling me that my grandfather owned 27% of the company and she had to take over. And as a woman entrepreneur, she said that it was actually very difficult for her. At that time, many of the businesses are actually owned by men. My grandmother did not have any other recourse but to assume the role of CEO and general manager of the company because he owned 27% of the company. She had to continue that legacy from the 70s all the way to the 90s and continue to make money to make sure that all of her 10 children will become successful. And what I learned over dinner, every time Amma would tell me, Albert, I worked so hard to make sure that all your aunt and your uncles would have each 1 million pesos and a land and a good property near Metro Manila. It is her pride and legacy to make sure that even her children would go to prestigious universities. Some of them have even studied overseas in America. Why? Because she wanted to make sure everyone will be successful. And the very little or leftover savings that she would get from the company proceeds, she actually would invest a little part of it in precious metals because she knew that there will be a long-term positive valuation to this investment. The importance of education was inculcated to everyone in the Go family. And my dad finished his studies in the University of Santo Tomas. He took business administration. But unlike my grandmother, he actually did not pursue the business, but he actually went to Canada and became a Filipino migrant worker. Like many Filipinos, like you and the migrant workers around the world, he actually saw better opportunities in Canada. At that time, he felt his friends moved to Canada, yet he learned about the way for us to restart our life in Canada. So when he moved to Canada, he actually started as pizza delivery. I was born there and we all got Canadian citizenship. After receiving that, he decided to return to the Philippines and to continue the real estate investment. He was actually a visionary as he knew the areas that would appreciate in value decades after, and that actually helped him to have passive income. He also learned to diversify his passive income and started to invest in stocks. from the Philippine stocks all the way to the US stock market. He learned the value of diversification. Yeah. Land also had passive income through rentals. He started to also invest in stocks. That made him actually make his money work for him. Like many Chinoys, my dad had multiple streams of income, which I believe many people struggle with. The normal Filipino worker has one stream of income. That's his or her salary. What happens if you get sick? What happens if you lose your ability to work overseas? What are the implications if you work overseas? You can also leave your family behind. There is a cost to working overseas. There is also a cost if you lose your ability to be employed or employable. In this channel, we aim to share stories to be able to widen the options of the migrant workers and my audience to more than just one. It is not just through working in corporations, graduating from a prestigious university, looking for the top, highest position in the company, but there are many ways for you to make money. Realistically speaking, did you know that Chinoys or Filipino Chinese have a secret and they have 7 streams of income? Let me dictate. First is the salary income. Many of these young budding graduates of universities, the Filipino Chinese, they would start working in big companies, multinational companies, banks, financial institutions, fintechs, mobile wallets. But they'll only do it for a few years until they get the hang of it and get an idea on how to start a business. Second stream of income is actually your business profit. A lot of these Filipino Chinese, they would start their mini businesses. As a matter of fact, if you go to the bazaars around the Philippines, like in Bonifacio Global City or Makati, all these bazaars, Christmas bazaars, I bet you many of them are young Filipino Chinese. Why? Because they also see the value of being entrepreneurial and also being resourceful. The third stream of income is the capital gains income. If you don't have an investment, you have no capital gains. But a lot of these Filipino Chinese have properties. They also have stocks and other paper assets. And when they cash out, they actually have capital gains income. Fourth is interest income. Do you know that in the Philippines, the top and leading financial institutions are owned by Filipino Chinese? One of them is called BDO. It's everyone's bank in the Philippines. But that business makes so much money. It's because of what we call in Tagalog as pautang, which is lending. They're lending to small, big businesses money so that they can start their business. There's housing loan, there's car loan, there are multiple streams of loans. And I would say one tycoon that I really look up to is actually the Seed family. And the next stream of income is dividends through stocks and cooperatives. This is actually very popular in the Philippines, which we'll talk in another episode. Sixth is rental income. As I was telling you, this is one of the best streams of income because once you have a property that is in demand, whether it's a warehouse, now e-commerce is popular, they're always looking for areas where they can house the goods that they're selling for delivery. The next thing is actually rental of properties, condominiums. As you get more foreigners establishing businesses in the Philippines, fellow Chinese actually have been moving to the Philippines. There is an increased demand for rentals, and the price for rental has been moving up. If you have foresight, like many Filipino Chinese do, it's actually another stream of income that allows them to keep on cashing in while just sitting down and collecting. Lastly is royalty. Royalty is what I want to achieve with this, the Go Show. By making this show about impacting lives and creating a unique proposition to help those who are in need, I believe this show will eventually collect royalty. Now, what does this have to do with me? I see 3 billionaires, Filipino Chinese heritage, who have made an indelible mark in the world of business. Namely, the C family, the Gokongwei family, and number 3, Tony Tan Kakyo. First is Henry C. He is the richest man in the Philippines, and before he died, he was worth $20 billion. But did you know that he started from the very bottom? He came in as a foreign worker, working as a seller of shoes in Manila. From his first branch in Carriedo, Manila, the department store called Shoemart is now synonymous to supermarkets, to groceries, to department stores, to shopping centers in every corner of the Philippines. He is now the leading shopping center in the Philippines. That business has actually catapulted and he has ventured into banking and finance. He has made BDO into the most prominent and profitable bank in the Philippines. The second billionaire, who has a very similar story with Henry C., is John Gokongwei. He hails from the Manila of the South, we call Cebu, and he started his shopping center, which is the second biggest competitor of SM. It's called Robinson's. And he has made his business into one of the leading brands for shopping in the Philippines. But what I find very unique with his family is that he was able to expand to banking and also to airlines. Cebu Pacific is probably the most well known and popular budget airlines in the Philippines. He was able to do that because of his early success in the shopping center, Robinson's, and now Cebu Pacific is one of the leading carriers in the Philippines. And lastly is my favorite story. It's by Tony Tan Yong. He is the founder, CEO, and the person behind Jollibee. Did you know that Jollibee is the only fast food chain that was able to defeat McDonald's? And his philosophy at the time was that with every McDonald's in the Philippines, there will be at least five Jollibees surrounding it. He was so successful that in the Philippines, Jollibee became a household name for fried chicken and spaghetti. He was able to customize and make it unique to the Filipino taste. That the burger is actually sweet and the fried chicken had a unique Filipino touch to it. He was so successful that he expanded Jollibee internationally to the United States, to the UK, in London, and also in Singapore and Hong Kong. In those places, they actually did a survey of the best fried chicken. Philippines consistently ranked number one, defeated KFC, defeated McDonald's, defeated Popeye's chicken. Why? It's because of the Filipino touch that we take and that made the best tasting fried chicken in the world. And in my opinion, it is actually the best. Jollibee was so successful that they expanded and acquired many other popular brands in the Philippines, including Chowking. Secondly, is Greenwich. And then they also bought Red Ribbon, Mount Inasal, and now Tony Tan Caktiong has ventured into real estate through Double Dragon. Now, this leads me to my story. And as I share with you the story of my grandma, just like her, she always told me to study well, finish my studies, which I did all the way to my master's degree in marketing. One thing that I valued a lot with my parents, my mom and my dad, was to make sure I finish studies, I do things well, and I make them proud. And that I did. All the way at 23, I finished my master's degree. And this show is to continue my legacy of being able to give back, to share my knowledge to my audience. And I would make sure that everything that I learned, I would give it back to you. What my ama did, which was to inculcate the value land and real estate, was passed to my dad, which in turn was passed to me. And today, I continue to invest in real estate because I know it could provide generational wealth through passive income. Next is entrepreneurship. When I was young, I talked about me being able to sell CDs to my friends and make it as my augmented income to be able to help increase the money that I have in my bank account. When I finished my 4-year stint in Singapore, the first thing that I did was to move to the Philippines and to start Team and Go. The ultimate aspirational goal was to become like the Jeff Bezos for OFWs or overseas Filipino workers. Till this day, Team and Go is around and we're still serving countless Filipinos from over 90 countries around the world. Even though I followed the footsteps of my dad, being an overseas Filipino worker, I still continue my passion for entrepreneurship that I learned from my grandmother. And one thing that I'd like to stress about Beam and Go is the evolution of Beam and Go. Beam and Go started selling gift vouchers, basic needs, delivery of rice to the families of the overseas Filipino workers. But our goal was actually to find the best way to be able to help these Filipinos to return back to the Philippines and to reskill themselves and start their business. Most recently, in 2022, we started our new product. This program is called the e-tailers reseller program. I realized that Pimengo's mission was achieving the first part of teaching financial literacy and budgeting to the OFW, but it did not help them return home to the Philippines. And that is why we started this reseller program to be able to help them and teach them to become entrepreneurs. And the e-tailers program had all the products of Team and Go created in another platform. And when they subscribe and join this platform, all they need is to deposit and to cash in and fund a seller program, an initial fund. And when they sell it to their friends, in Singapore, Hong Kong, in different parts of the world, you're able to get a commission out of it. And that helps them augment their income and help some of them even double their take-home pay from their salary. Now they've added another stream of income. And I've had countless examples of these domestic helpers and also nurses double their income and send it back to the Philippines. And they've already started investing in the stocks. And one of them actually has messaged me and has also invested in cryptocurrency. Imagine that from a customer who was struggling to make ends meet, to send money, to make sure that the husband will be able to use it for the basic needs of the family. She became a customer of Beam and Go, used our grocery vouchers. She was able to learn how to budget. And then she started to become a Beamercada, or Barcada is a term for Filipinos like a group of friends. She became a Beamercada. She started to enroll in our reseller e-tailer program. Now she has started to augment and increase her stream of income from just a salaried worker. She now sends double to her family, and now she is already investing in stocks in cryptocurrency. The evolutions of our customers is endless. And now I believe that as an entrepreneur, we can actually help increase the stream of income of these migrant workers. From a salaried worker, now she can also invest in assets that would have future value. And one of them is Coreum. What I've learned from the Chinoy and my grandmother that was passed to my father, that was passed to me, now I'm able to translate and give it back to the Filipinos who are living overseas. And now we can spread it through this channel. As we educate people and tell them more about my stories, we can teach them to increase their streams of income. And now we talk about this asset that I believe has future value, and that is called Coreum. What is Coreum? Let's go straight to the point that it is a third generation layer one smart contract blockchain. This technology will facilitate the tokenization of assets in the future. Everybody now talks about blockchain technology. I believe Coreum will be the central hub of blockchain systems. All these blockchains that we are seeing, from the XRPL, the distributed ledger technology. We have Ethereum, Solana. We also have Flare and many other blockchains. I believe that Coreum, through IBC, inter-blockchain communication, will be able to connect all these blockchains and make it scalable for Fortune 500 companies around the world. And we will see an influx of enterprises, from small, medium to large enterprises, building their smart contract technology using Coreum. The use cases of Coreum are endless because of smart contracts. They'll be able to use it. As an example, could be Beam and Go style vouchers that can be programmed for delivery of aid to the poorest people around the world who are in need. It can also be used for emergency responses. We can also use the smart contract technology for the future of metaverse gaming. We also have play to earn gaming, where the rewards can be used through smart contracts. As you perform certain conditions in the games, we can also win rewards, and Coreum could be able to facilitate that. There's also CBDC, central bank digital currencies, that are the talk of the town now in the central banking community. As they use and build CBDCs, whether in their own blockchain or through Ripple's blockchain, they can also connect from one blockchain through another. I believe Coreum can facilitate the interoperability of these blockchains. Next is art and NFTs. Now we are seeing an influx of the digital revolution coming from the Gen Zs who are into art. Many of them have started to mint their NFTs in Ethereum and Solana. Now they'll be able to trade these assets from one blockchain to another using Coreum. Next is also tokenization of stocks. There are hundreds of stock exchanges in every corner of the world. Imagine if you can tokenize and being able to fractionalize the trading of these stocks across one region to another 24/7. That is what Coreum can do. Next is real estate. Right now, there's already a ledger for ownership of these titles and properties. But what Coreum and blockchain can do is that you'll be able to put it in the blockchain. It will become more efficient and transparent. There are many other use cases for Coreum. I'm just starting the tip of the iceberg. There will be more, and we will talk about it in future episodes. And this is precisely why I started my Coreum Validator called Go Partners Social Impact Validator. I believe this is the only social impact validator in the Coreum blockchain. And we are focusing on ending poverty, ending hunger, ending discrimination, and ending violence. The validator has over 70 delegators, people who are messaging me about the impact and my mission of helping areas that they care about. As you can see in our second episode, if you care about any of these initiatives and focus areas, would you consider investing in my validator? This episode is about the Chinoy in me. As I shared with you the story of my grandmother, my ama, passed on her learnings to my dad, to me, and now I'm sharing it with you. It's all about building the foundation and also the mindset of a Filipino Chinese or Chinoy. I believe that my knowledge and learning can be passed on to you through this show, the Go Show. And I'm excited to give you the next episode, the fifth episode of the Go Show, which is titled The Blood, Sweat, and Tears of Becoming Albert Go. See you on our next episode. Bye-bye.